I find the concept of reverse racism to be very stupid, and this narrative that there is supposedly this epidemic of anti-white racism going on is usually perpetuated by white people trying to undermine social movements that bring awareness to social and systemic issues that are unique to people of color. For example, I remember seeing no shortage of this online during the BLM protests back in 2020. What do you mean the police engage in racial profiling? Just don't commit crime. And guess what? There have been white people who have been unfairly killed by police too. Which, yeah, that totally makes me feel a lot better about the police force in this country. Two, in general, society tends to be more suspicious and have their guard up when in the presence of a black person especially. Because what is a very common stereotype of black people? They're thugs, they commit crime. Look at crime statistics that show that black people are more likely to commit crime than white people, ignoring socioeconomic factors that lead to that. Prejudice such as this is part of why we routinely see specifically black people be at the brunt of unfair treatment at the hands of the police, among other things of course, but this isn't a video solely about police brutality. Meanwhile, what are some of the worst anti-white stereotypes? We eat boring food, we can't dance, which in my case the latter is certainly true, even though I'm just half white. But overall, we don't get as much shit for our skin color as other people of different races tend to. And you may say, well, I can point to instances of people of color on social media making uncouth remarks at the expense of white people. And yeah, I'm sure you can. I used to see this myself sometimes on Twitter, and it probably still goes on Twitter, though I don't know because I don't look at that shithole anymore. Do I think it's dumb? Yeah, sure, but do I hold minorities saying unsavory things about white people on social media in the same regard as I do for people of color being far more likely to be racially profiled by police? Or for decades, the war on drugs disproportionately targeting black and brown communities and mass incarcerating these people, all for just having a little bit of weed on them. All for the sake of justifying the obscene amount of money pumped into the prison industrial complex, and because they know the broader public won't think twice about these sorts of communities being targeted. So which should I take more seriously, the examples I just provided or some people of color saying perhaps ignorant things about white people on social media? I think the answer is obvious, and I think it's really telling that this is the kind of shit white people usually point to when they try to say we face discrimination too. This isn't to say it's impossible for white people to face prejudice. Anyone, regardless of what race they were born as, are capable of holding prejudice against any other group of people. But anti-white prejudice does not extend to racism on a systemic level. White people do not face the same social and economic disadvantages that people of color disproportionately face. Studies have shown that even with identical resumes, employers are less likely to hire people with quote-unquote black-sounding names. They're far more likely to be preferential towards John Carpenter or some shit than they are towards Shaniqua. And I think trying to equate the prejudice white people may face on the basis of their skin color to the prejudice people of color in this country face routinely is both very ignorant and frankly disrespectful towards the history of racial inequality in this country. In the grand scheme of things, not that long ago, black people were sold as property, oftentimes to white landowners, and even more recently, black people were not allowed to go to the same stores as white people, go to the same schools, drink from the same fountains, use the same bathrooms, etc. And it's not even like we're really past this racist history in this country. Look at the fucking migrant hysteria that has taken this country by storm. The Latin people crossing the border are overwhelmingly people who simply want a better life than what their home country can provide them, either for themselves and or any family they may have. But what do these people often get branded as? Murderers, thieves, rapists, cartel members? Even though you are far more likely to be the victim of a crime committed by someone born in this country than you are to be the victim of one committed by a migrant. Or the cats and dogs hysteria from Ohio a few months ago. These are black migrants from Haiti, so they must be backward savages, stealing other people's cats and dogs to eat. When in actuality, those Haitian migrants helped revitalize a previously dying town by taking the jobs the white residents native to said town couldn't be fucked to do. They came to this country looking for work and better opportunities and were able to attain that, and yet they were at the brunt of some of the most ridiculous discrimination I have ever seen. So when this is the kind of shit people of color have to routinely face in this country, why should I believe that white people are dealt an equally shitty hand on the basis of their skin color? And you might say, this is oppression Olympics, you're engaging in. You're trying to make it seem like it's only people of color who have hardships in this country, and white people don't. Obviously, white people can still face economic hardship, except their skin color does not factor into said economic hardship. And it's not quote-unquote oppression Olympics to accurately point out there are unique social stigmas surrounding people who have certain colors of skin that white people do not face. What I think the real oppression Olympics is trying to equate prejudiced remarks that may still be stupid at the end of the day, but still do not contribute to systemic and widespread dehumanization of a group of people that result in socioeconomic disadvantages unique to said group of people, to legitimate discrimination people of color face by society and on a systemic level on a daily basis. But no, let's get mad at Tim Walz for making that one joke a few months ago about how he is a white guy, so therefore he can't handle spicy food very well. Clear-cut anti-white racism. I still haven't forgotten about that because of how silly that whole thing was, but yes, that is the real racial discrimination we should be paying attention to. Totally. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.